On our roll call vote, Lisa Atkinson just texted me and she is feeling under the weather, so somebody make a motion so we could excuse her, please.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Gray? Here. Mrs. Brimmer?
Here.
Mr. Conley?
Here.
Are you sure?
You're so expected.
Ms. Faulkner?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Hopkins?
Here.
Mr. Laws? Mr. Owens is here. And I think behind the wall over there is Carmen.
Hi.
Are you hiding anybody else back there?
Yeah, I'm already sick. See the traffic. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Pretty good stuff. All right, so trust everyone had a chance to look over our minutes from the February 2nd meeting. And if so, I need a motion to approve those minutes. Any comments on those minutes? All in favor of approval, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. And our agenda for this evening.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. Motion and support. Any tweaks we need to make? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no? Thank you. All right. Public comments. Thank you as well for braving the weather to come out tonight. Any of you that would like to address Planning Commission on any topics, please step up there. We can see you over the top. All right, seeing none, we do not have any public hearings this evening, so we'll move to our new business. We have site plan review for Green Acres. I trust everybody has the plans and letters from Carmen and many other ones that are in there as well. So, Carmen, would you like to lead us through your February 23 letter?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a revised final site plan review for the Green Acres Senior Living Project. It's pretty straightforward. There are just a few things I'd like to point out in the review. One of the comments that is in my letter, and also I talked to Mike Darabos, the engineer, about was, maybe the applicant can answer it when they get up here, is they were showing gravel between the property and Holton Drive, recognizing that I guess it's a private drive and that was only going to be an emergency access. And one of the points in here was we'd like them to talk to the school district to see if it's okay to make that as a full connection. It's not like this is a type of activity or use which is going to generate high volumes of traffic and create problems for the school district. So we'd like to just see that be made a permanent connection so they can pave that. Maybe they can address that when they come up. The building it's an attractive building. We've looked at it before, and the only thing we've indicated on here is we'd like to see them use architectural shingles on the roof. That was one of the conditions in here. Landscaping, they did revise their landscaping plan, and there are just a couple of tweaks we'd like to see to that. One was for them to plant, and when you're coming off of their main entryway, there's like the two detention bases are on your left and right. We'd like to see a couple of planting beds there where they can put some shrubs, maybe flowers, just to make it an attractive entryway and visually take your eyes off of the detention basin there. So that's a pretty easy thing to do. And also, the other thing we had recommended previously, and we'd still like to see, is the parking spaces that are facing Holton Drive, even though it's at the top of the detention pond, we'd like to see like a hedgerow or some plantings along there so that it will help to screen, just low level, screen the vehicles there from Holton Drive. So those are two pretty minor things in there. We'd like to see that in the revised landscape plan. And they also have to make sure that there's an irrigation system provided. That's in the zoning order. Other than that, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. We are recommending approval of the site plan, conditioned upon the use of architectural roof shingles, that a revised landscape plan be submitted that addresses the items in the review letter. We can approve that administratively. And then just review and approval from other applicable departments, consultants, and agencies. I think the primary one here is going to be the engineer. And he is approving they look at this as a preliminary site plan. When they look at the construction drawings, they would work out all the final details with the applicant. So, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's a nice project with just a few minor items.
Anybody have questions?
I think I see architectural, professional asphalt shingles on that picture.
Okay, I didn't see that, so they may already be on there.
Yeah, there was, we were kind of going back and forth between the consultants and trying to get them the latest information in a timely manner so that they could finalize their review letters, and that was kind of one thing that we put on there, and that went to Linda, but it didn't get Carmen, so, but yes, we are showing.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
We also revised the landscape plan to show those hedgerows
Oh, you
along
did?
the park of that area.
And that wasn't, you didn't see that yet, I've got a revised plan here. Yeah, so, yeah, here's the note that we were talking about, the architectural shingles, and then we went, once we received Carmen's final review letter, we went ahead and addressed those comments. He hasn't seen this, the city staff hasn't seen this, so I don't know if this is something we just need to address administratively, but yeah, we put the planting beds along the drive entrance, like you mentioned. We've got the hedgerow along that south line of parking. We added the irrigate. Yeah, we got a note for irrigation. We added the sidewalk that was meant to be shown there. Maneuvered, moved a little bit of the planting around that area just to make that work. So yeah, this landscape plan is what we're going to be submitting to address those comments. So additionally, once we've got the engineer's review letter, we went ahead and addressed those. But again, those haven't been reviewed by the city yet. His comments were basically limited to get our approvals from Road Commission. This is our commercial drive approach, and then our work within the right of way, so the reconstruction of the pathway, the outlet to our detention pond, and those will be done through the permit process. We have spoken to Road Commission staff kind of on a preliminary basis, and they both said that what we're doing in concept sounds like it will work, so they've kind of given their preliminary approval for it. But again, that's going to be done through the permit process. We've filled out the applications. Those will be going in the next few days, so that those little issues will be worked out through them. As far as the access drive off of Holden, we recognize that we do have to get approval from the school board, so that's something that we're going to be working out with them. Should they not allow us to do that, we would propose just stopping the asphalt where we had it before, and then using that area to maneuver for trucks, trash trucks, and vehicles that might be using that garage. But to my knowledge, well, the only other issues was the soil erosion permit. He makes that just kind of we've got to get our soil erosion permit. Again, that permit application will be going in soon. And then determination of wetland impacts. We had a environmental consultant go out there and delineate the on-site wetlands. He noted that there was one in the northwest corner here, and then off to the east here. We also asked them to make a determination as to whether or not those are regulated wetlands. We determined this one was not, because it's less than 5 acres, and it's not directly connected to an inland lake, stream, pond, river. So that's not regulated. This one, he said maybe, so we just said we're going to avoid it. So there are no wetland impacts. So therefore no DEQ permit is required as part of this project. So with that, I guess we're asking for approval conditioned on obtaining those permits that we talked about, working out the access off of Holden, and then the city accepting a revised landscape plan. So I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you guys might have, or we also have Johnson and Newhoff as well as Moss Development here. If you have any questions for them.
On your access driveway there, is it feasible to get permission from the school to put gravel in there and like have grass over it? that we just dropped. Okay. Another question, and forgive me, I was not here last month. On plan 5, it shows your water system, your hydrant. What type of hydrant is that, and who would maintain it?
That's gonna be a private hydrant, and that's gonna be, I think in one of Mike Barabos's comments, he said that has to be a city standard hydrant.
Okay, Mark 5.
What's that?
Mark PR5.
Yes, yeah.
And then I have another question on the sanitary manhole. I don't know if you don't have a manhole number here. It's the 4-inch on the outfall, right on the property line. Who would maintain that? The reason being is for a monitoring manhole.
Yeah, one of Mike's comments again was that we make a note on the plan that the water and sewer is all private once it leaves the right of way, so it will be the developer's responsibility to maintain.
Well, I was more into is monitoring that for a monitoring manhole. Some of our years past, we required a monitoring manhole at the property line from the sanitary outfall
Okay.
for monitoring purposes, grease, or whatever.
Yeah,
That was up on private property, and I didn't know if there was any agreements or language put in for the city to access that.
okay. I mean, this is it's not going to see a lot of, I mean, it's a pretty small building. I mean, we're not, I mean, if that's something that the city's going to require, then we're not going to.
Just a question.
Yeah. So,
If it wasn't required to
it,
request it.
Mike didn't mention it in his review, but.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Maybe it's just you.
All right. No other questions on that?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
There's a letter in here from Land and Resource Engineering, and this was just me. And it says it's signed by a Pete Burstrup. Is that really your signature?
Yes.
Because it looks like it starts with an M.
My first name is actually Matthew, but I use my middle name, so I sign, it is my signature.
I'm like, what was that? Okay, that was all.
My middle name, I should use it too.
There you go.
So if there's no other questions, we'd entertain a motion to approve the site plan review for Green Acres.
I would make a motion to approve the site plan as submitted and revisions as designated from our consultants.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks everyone for your work on that. Yeah, be careful.
You don't want to trip him up. Thank you.
Right, so next item is our site plan review for Cedar Springs Library. So again, you want to shuffle your stuff around. I know we've got a lot of material on that. But I don't know if you'd like to lead us through your comments on that.
Okay, and I'll go a little more slowly because it's obviously a more complex site. Not that it isn't a nicer site, it's the one that we just reviewed. I just want to make sure that you're clear of everything because there are waivers, for example, that I'm going to look at here. One of the points here, which you're already aware of, the applicants are that copy of the executed sub-agreement with the library has to be finalized as a condition of the site plan approval, which would be required in any way. The number 2 dimensional requirements, there's 2 items that do not meet ordinance requirements. The one you've already granted a waiver for was part of the development agreement is the building setback, which we talked about, 3 feet. The other is the parking space is required to be 10 feet from the road, from the property line. And the 2 parking lot entrances, the spaces on Maple Street are 8 feet off. You have to grant a waiver for that, and which really is not problematic. I don't see that as being a big problem. The only thing I requested is that there be some shrubs planted on each of the little extensions there to help screen the vehicles. Once again, nothing tall, just some shrubs, a little shrubs. Access and circulation. I think this is probably the area of greatest concern still, because there's still 2 entryways shown off of Main Street. Pete Lamori is here. He's a traffic consultant that helped us look at this on behalf of the city. Pete is one of the best traffic consultants in the state. I've worked with him for 22 years. He reviews projects in many of the communities that I work with, and like I said, amongst the transportation planning community, he's considered one of the best. So, and also located just down the road from here too. So, I'll let Pete talk more about that and why that's a concern to him with the driveway that's shown on Main Street. Architecture. I think they've done a nice job with the building. Kind of the tricky thing, which you already know, is getting the facade that faces Main Street to look more like a front facade. So when people are driving by, it doesn't look like the back side of the building. They've made some changes since the last set of elevations. They've moved windows around. They put a sign on that says the library so you know it's there. Made a few other changes, and I'm looking at it. I'm a little stumped, and maybe it's something you could take a look at. What little tweaks can be done, if any, to make it look even more like the front of the building. One thing I'm thinking of is the double door that's on that side. Maybe putting some of the window lights above the doors, like on the other side, something like that, even if they're not real, even if they're just fake windows, which you can get, is a possibility. The other transom windows is what they're called. And I also looked at maybe you could put some of those windows in to make like there's a single window, make it a double window. It's all a matter of taste, and it's something I think you probably want to talk about and look at. The other thing I felt pretty strongly about, though, is that the doors on that elevation should probably be the same color as the brick, and so they blend in more with the building, so that people aren't walking up there thinking they can get in there. So to blend them in a little bit more. And then just material samples and color being submitted for your review. But it's an attractive building. It's a nice looking building. Once again, the big trick is getting that one side to look a little more like the front of the building. And I know they've made changes to address that particular issue. Landscaping. There's obviously with any site, especially in a planned unit development, there's some flexibility needed with the landscaping. The front greenbelt requirement has a specific number of trees and shrubs that are required. Given the configuration of the building and the site, you really can't fit all of that in there. It's not feasible to do that. So what they've done is with what they've proposed, they have added trees around the detention basin and along the frontage, which really makes the building attractive. And they've got a lot of foundation plantings all the way around the building. So we think that the front greenbelt requirements, the intent, has been met because of that. That's on Main Street. West Maple Street, they're required to have 28 trees and 56 shrubs. They have provided 5 trees and 4 shrubs. And once again, there's not a lot of area to work with here. And so they put in as many, I think, as they possibly could, as they could fit in there, without turning it into a forest and hiding the building and the like. So that's another one where we're recommending that you step in and approve it. Parking lot landscaping was kind of tricky because you don't have a lot of landscape islands in it. You really don't have room to put landscape islands inside the parking area because there's just not that much room to work with. You want to make sure there's enough parking space. But they have surrounded it with trees. They added trees to that particular area. So we think that although they're not providing the required number of shrubs, that they've got enough trees to offset that. There are some additional comments in here regarding few other items on the landscape plan. The first one is just that the landscape plan has to indicate the types of plantings or grass to be used in the detention basin. We usually recommend a wild grass seed because what it does is, you know, from some of the other projects we reviewed, like I think out in front of the McDonald's, they have some of those. The wild grasses, ornamental grasses, they don't grow very tall, so you don't have to maintain them, you don't have to mow them. And the last thing they want to do, I'm sure, is to be mowing the sides of the detention basin. So that's something that should be considered. We're also recommending that the 9 Serbian spruce trees along the west edge of the parking lot be replaced with deciduous trees. Because what's going to happen is they're going to grow up and they're going to block the view. And the whole reason for orienting the building the way they did was to be able to see the trail and off to the other fields. If you plant the trees that are evergreens, you won't be able to see that. So that's why we made that recommendation. Another note that we like to see on all plans, regardless of what it is that once the utility boxes are put in, because we don't know where they're going to be, that there be some landscaping provided around them to screen. Once again, it's not a big ticket item, but it's something we look for. And then irrigation, they've indicated, will be provided for all the landscaped areas. They have indicated that a dumpster is not needed here. They're not going to need a dumpster, so as a result, there's no dumpster enclosure shown. And I've indicated here that it's also requires a review from other applicable departments, consultants, and agencies, including MDEQ, because for any activities in the floodplain. So they would have to provide that before they can be issued the building permit, the construction law. So based on that, we are recommending approval of the final site plan conditioned upon the following items. Number 1, a copy of the executed subagreement between the CDBG and the library board being submitted. Number 2, a 2-foot waiver from the parking setback requirement along West Maple Street. Number 3, the entry layout along North Main Street must be revised to reflect the drawings submitted by the traffic consultant, Mr. Pete Lamore, to be reviewed and approved administratively. Number 4, architectural changes as identified under item number 5 above, and with planning commission feedback. Once again, this is a judgment call on your part. You may like the way that it is now and think that that's satisfactory. It's something to talk about. Waivers from the front greenbelt requirements along West Maple Street and North Main Street, conditioned upon the planting of low-level shrubs to screen the parking spaces from West Maple Street. Number 6, the 9 Serbian spruce trees along the west edge of the parking lot being replaced with deciduous trees that will not block the view of the park and the trail. Number 7, a note being added to the plan indicating that all utility boxes and mechanical units will be screened. And last but not least, review and approval from other applicable departments, consultants, and agencies. This includes approval from MDEQ for activities that will take place in the floodplain. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer, but I think after I'm finished, we're going to have Pete get up and give a better explanation, a more detailed explanation about what he recommended changes to the entryway on Main Street.
When you were talking about the lights and the door, were you talking about the north elevation?
Talking about the elevation where the book drop-off is?
Yeah,
That's the one. They have made changes. I think they made changes that do make it look more like the front of the building from what we first saw. They've got the overhang. I think that they've blended that in with the architecture. They've added the signage on there saying it's a library. And they've done some things to enhance that side of the building. The question is, which is up to you, to decide if you think it looks enough like the front of a building.
I don't think. Which of these are you going to see when you first come down the road from the north?
Let me see what it's labeled.
Because I don't, if that's the book drop, there's no sign that says library on it. This is the one you're going to see, correct?
Not the revised elevations. Yeah, this is not the revised elevation, because the revised elevation that I received was the library. You wouldn't have to have a copy. I mean, I've got the plan here. I think I did. Let me see if I've got I might have the elevation in here.
East elevation says library on it, and the south elevation says library.
Okay, let me see if I've got that. I think I did.
The east elevation has library in bold letters on it, and the south elevation.
I know this is probably only out there, but the elevation we're talking about is now,
North bottom.
called the east elevation. I'll put the sign there. Pass it around, but this east elevation is right here, and you can see they've got the signage on the windows and changes the windows in terms of the cadence. So if you have to take a look at that. It's that, it's the east elevation. It's that one there, the north. No, it's under, they're calling it the north elevation?
Yeah, that's what they, okay, but here they have it. The building's angled, so they've got a window with a sign.
Look on your small set.
Well, there hasn't been anything done to the elevation that faces the north. There's no sign.
You want to just
Oh,
pass
I'm
down?
sorry. Okay, I missed it. Okay, thank you.
Now, this is where I was talking about the, maybe doing a double door here with the transom above it, or something like that, like they have here, above the, if you did something like that, or a door to match, like maybe here.
Oh,
Even if it's their fake windows, it might be something that helps make it look more like the front. That was the only thing I could think of beyond what they've got, and it would be a pretty easy fix. And because it is there, like there, it's not, they don't really need windows there. It could be fake if they make them. They're like black, it looks like blackened out glass.
that shouldn't be too tough a fix, right?
I wouldn't think so, but it's,
Piece of cake. The one is a fire egress door, so that's in the main library. So adding a window, a real window is, probably beneficial. The one under the overhang, I don't know if you're gonna get much light there, but it's still, you can put a window there. I mean, a
Or you
window,
said even a
putting
fake
a real deal in versus a fake one isn't a whole lot of difference, so I don't see a problem.
What about the double door? Would that be a problem?
There isn't a double door.
No.
the comment I made in the letter was you've got the single door there.
Yeah.
What I was recommending is on all the other three sides, you have double doors with the transom window above the top. And what I was thinking, if you were able to put a double door in there, and then put a fake transom window above it, it would match the other doors and make it look more like an entryway, even though we don't want to.
Or like the other one.
Yeah.
Bring attention to it.
Yeah. So maybe a fake window to kind of soften that would be the better way to go.
I think the window, I agree with. The double door, I don't think we want to make it,
Visible entrance.
Which goes back to the color. If you have these colors, people see it, let's see it.
They take out one window.
that's all we got right now.
That's a review final, the transom.
No, once again, it's a very attractive building. It was always the issue of making that one side look more like the front of the building because of the
I think it's attractive the way it is.
I like the transom idea because it makes the visual lines across the top all the same. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
You don't want to lose it.
Any other questions for Carmen? So, yeah, Pete, you want to walk us through your letter?
I have two of them. Which one do we go by?
Whatever one you want, Mike.
I got December 11th.
February 19th.
Oh.
Thank you, Mayor from Progressive in Grand Rapids. Intermittently, the city's traffic consultant every once in a while, so it's good to be in front of you guys again. We've reviewed this a couple times in the last few months. I think maybe we brought in a little bit of the 11th hour, so some of this stuff maybe could have been caught early in the process, but it is what it is. We had several concerns initially. I kind of backed off on a couple, given some of the work that you guys have already gone through and the library folks. But one sticking point we're still concerned with, even though it's a low volume driveway, is still the double entry exit point out of the main. Most communities on a roadway like Maine want to make sure that stays as safe as it can, especially as the area is kind of growing. Actually, that little sub area with this library and the restaurant is getting more and more traffic. So typically, on a site like this, a library or any kind of use these days, most access management kind of tenants would just allow access off the side street, not even off the main street at all. But in this case, kind of given a layout that it sounds like they've kind of been stuck with other constraints, we can kind of understand why they want to have the book drop off and a little bit of service on the back side. Well, sorry, on one of the front sides. But the fact remains that it really doesn't, having the two driveways there, having one at an angle, and that one being fairly close to the intersection of Maple, so you have potential left turn conflicts in the future with folks coming south wanting to turn left either into the businesses or on the Maple. It's just not good transportation planning and engineering. So we had provided a sketch, and there could be variations of that. But our main point is to try and combine those two one-way drives into a single driveway that's farther north than the inbound driveway is shown right now. In our opinion, that's a key item, as much or more for long term than it is the short term. So that's kind of in a nutshell our
Pete,
thoughts on that.
that's this one, right? Or
That's the Rembrandt.
Just, Mr. Chairman, just the loop, not the
Right.
Maple Street, because it was an earlier drawing, it changed the layout.
Yeah, I've got other copies of that sketch if you want. So if you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer. Yes.
So are we thinking about when they come out of there that they can only turn right? Does that help us? And when they go in, they can only turn right out the street? You can't turn left across traffic? Can we do something like that that needs the...
You definitely could. I wasn't promoting that or pushing that because we are talking about a pretty low volume driveway, so I don't think we want to push that far. You could, but I think, and I'm assuming one of the headaches this creates for these folks, because I think general idea that you understand, but I imagine having the book drop off, potentially the building can't move at all. Having the book drop off shift a little bit up that face of the building might create some interior planning issues. So it becomes down to a priority kind of thing. A safety issue out on the road for the long term, or an internal building design kind of issue. So I can understand there's some angst on both sides of that. Yes, sir.
It shows here you have a reverse flow going in.
Mm-hmm.
People ain't gonna do that.
A reverse, well, they're crossing inside, yes.
Yeah, they come in and cross in reverse flow where the normal would be pull straight in and drive around and out. Or this one, you have them coming in, crossing the outgoing traffic.
Right. And the point there is I think the information we got from the applicant was with the book drop off, the traffic volumes are pretty low. So the design is such that if there's a car waiting to turn out, they wouldn't be blocking the ability of inbound folks to cross in behind them. There's enough storage in there to accommodate that. So yeah, it looks a little bit odd.
It looks really odd. So you want to pull in and then cross to the other side and then then come around and then.
Only because, obviously, from the driver's side, you want to be able to drop the book off on that side. Otherwise, I would clearly make it a loop the other way. But if you're a driver by yourself, and you want to be able to just pull up to I'm assuming the idea is to have a box.
Am I not reading this right? I'm looking at it like you're crisscrossing.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If you pull in this way though, then the driver's door is on this side. So you'd have to get out of your car and walk around your car for the book drop. So that's why he wants them to come in this way, so the driver's side door,
So why don't we just continue going around?
or you can't pull in on the left side of the driveway.
Well, otherwise everyone's crisscrossing. That's what it just
How
seems
many-
weird.
but how
So
many-
if someone's coming out
how
this
many-
way and someone's going in this way, then you gotta,
How many cars do you think are gonna be in here simultaneously?
it's possible.
That would be the librarian's question.
Just like going to the bank, you gotta be on that side to get to the teller, so you don't want it on the exit side.
Yeah. And then we wouldn't obviously suggest that kind of layout if we were talking about a bank queuing kind of situation or anything like that, but I forget the numbers you had mentioned about the number per day might be like 20 or 10 or here. So we're talking maybe on average 1 or 2 in
So
an hour.
they're saying the library says 10 to 20
So we just
drop-offs per
don't,
day.
in this case, for this kind of use, we just don't see the.
Yeah, okay, okay, good. Why isn't the book drop off on the right then? So you can pull in and drop off and continue out in one flow.
Only because if you can imagine, like you mentioned, like with a pull-up mailbox or a teller, you want to have the drop box on the driver's side.
Right. So why wouldn't it be on the right side as you're pulling in? She's saying the box drop off is here. Why isn't it on this side? So you can pull in, go around, drop off your book, and go out.
Oh, have the drop off all the way to the building then? The box?
They don't want to.
They want it attached to the building.
Yeah, they wanted it because of configuration of people coming out from the left.
I mean, an option would always be keep the box on the building and ask people to walk to the steps to the bookshelf. I think the idea is to come up out there and things like that.
Isn't this the building? So then how is this off the building?
That's the old thing here.
Alright, this is the building though, right? So why can't the drop off be here? That's attached to the building.
That is where the drop-off.
On this side?
Yes.
Okay, so then you can drive around like this and.
No, then your driver's door is on the other side.
On the side.
Side is facing the building. So the idea is there's no storage for a car to be here waiting to pull up. And there's enough room there for a car to come in behind and have the driver's side next to the drop off.
I don't like this drop thing.
Yeah. Here's the book drop. On, they would have to move the book drop-off facility further to the north if they accommodate that.
Too far north, we're in a classroom and a computer server area.
Yeah.
Plus then it messes up the book delivery van and waiting, they're gonna have to be there. Our way, we did a lot of stuff people on it, and we had a lot of great ideas. And, we had to stick to our guns on this. It's simple, it's not confusing for the elderly, it just works. It really works. And I go on and list all these different driveway cuts, just to the north, west slope. And not just 10 or 20 cars, then 100 and some cars come in. I don't know how many accidents we've had or how many lawsuits we've had, but I think the answer is 0. And we're talking a really low volume here compared to 100 and some cars going in and out on the street. And it works. We're trying to, like I say, make it convenient for the customer.
So, but Dwayne, if we look at like your drawing that you have right now, like the original, what happens if somebody pulls in on the driveway that is farther to the north?
It says do not enter.
I don't, you think, I don't know if that's gonna stop people, they see a driveway and they turn in. I see it on, like, by Tractor Supply all the time.
We still have to
And-
figure that out. You know, that's,
Okay, well, I'm just saying, yeah,
it's.
figuring it out and the reality of what happens are not necessarily the same.
Right, it's just the same as what Pete's proposing. You pull in and it's like, just listening to you folks up there, how confused you are. And that's what everybody I've showed it to has the same reaction. Okay, which way do I go? You know, we would have to put do not enter signs there also. And then a one-way sign going to the left. And everyone said it was just too confusing. And we tried for a week, trying to make it work. And I mean, we do want to work with everybody here, and we try. But when it comes down to the facilities of being able to work for the people working there on the inside, it just, to shove it that far north and then to mess up the book delivery, you know, which is only a couple times a week, but it just isn't. So we went with the simple, we squared it up to the road, the south entrance like Keith recommended. We squared that up, we'll do the center turn lane, we'll eliminate parking on Main, and the other thing we talked to different engineers on too is, crossing. I know Kathy talked about pedestrians being concerned. It's easier to cross a one-way street than it is a two-way street. So anybody on that sidewalk, what we're proposing is safer that way also. But I think to me, it's not a big issue, but it has somehow become one. And, it's just a low volume, as Pete said, and we tightened it up. We made that south entrance go further from Maple by squaring that up to help with that, setback too. But like I said, I can go down to the north, I can go to Sparta, I can go to Greenville, I can go to every town around us that has two road cuts within 50 feet of an intersection. Like I say, Westville, I see hundreds of cars go in and out of it every day. And I don't believe there's been an accident or anything in a long time. So we just really want to make this work for the library. And it's up to you to think it through. I hope you think the way we're thinking, and that we are trying to make it safe. We are trying to do the right thing. But again, we're talking low volume.
Just throwing out a whole different idea. Since this is a low volume, as we say, why do we have to have an enter and an exit on that spot? Can we eliminate one parking spot and have it just a one-way that runs behind the building and comes out on Maple? It's low volume, so it's just going to be a few cars going around back to the building.
We had an idea like that, and we looked at it, but the problem we get into is the floodplain and stuff, of where we position that building. And we changed the parking also on part of Pete's recommendation there, trying to stay a little more on the floodplain, and it's really worked out beautiful. So we have less mitigating to do now. So, but yeah, to make that work, Dale, it does. We've tried everything. I don't think there is anything we haven't tried.
So how wide would the road have to be? 12 feet or something?
Yeah, they're 12, 15.
And there's not enough room to put a drive around the back. It just seems like it should be room enough.
Well, it's the two of them, put in there.
You're talking between the building and the creek?
Behind where the patio is in the back there.
It's all floodplain. And we don't want to, that patio is set up to where they can have get-togethers and be out there.
We're talking low volume again now.
Yeah, but I don't think you still want a driveway through there. Because again, we're having I don't want to call it a boardwalk, pedestrian walk along the creek, and then we're having one follow the retaining wall. And that's a fundraiser on buying these blocks and all that. so that's all show there.
That space.
And it's low ground, but, and it's also nothing there but, like I say, the community room, or you want to call it the multi-purpose room in the classroom.
My big concern is, you keep saying this is low volume right now. Yes, it's small right now. 10, 20 years from now, hopefully Cedar Springs is a lot bigger and it's a lot busier, and it may be a huge issue then at that point in time. We want to deal with it now rather than 20 years from now.
But I'm throwing out Westville. I mean, we're talking hundreds of cars there.
It's a little bit different because there's a traffic light, so you can time it when traffic stops one direction. So it's a little bit different than what we're talking about at this.
So you've got plenty of room to
Well, it's,
there too.
I don't know.
Actually, 20 years from now, you probably might not even need a book drop off, because everything's going to be closed.
That's true.
Thanks, Carmen.
I saw it.
Tear it out. Right now, I think you gotta think about the elderly, the handicapped. I think we need to think about, the folks working at the library. I think you need to think about safety. I mean, we have drilled that through our mind left and right about making this safe, and I think what we're proposing is very safe.
Why do you need 3 parking places there? Why can't you move that whole thing down so that it fits with your book drop and just leave those parking places out there?
That doesn't help us, because again, the book drop has to be where it is. So moving those
Okay,
parking spots.
does this drawing show where the book drop is right now?
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. Why can't you move this whole thing this way and
We tried that, there's not enough room to give parallel to the book drop when you come in. We tried, believe me, we tried everything. But the engineers went through this, and the architect, trying to see what they can move inside versus what the engineers can move outside. And you can't make a turn.
About, have you ever guys considered the suction tubes like you have at a bank? Seriously.
From Main Street?
Put out on the island, so you could actually have it come around.
Well, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, but they're plenty strong. We use them at work all the time. Those tubes work. I mean, you could suck up 5 pound weight.
In diameter at the
No, it would have to be a bigger type of tube.
I think we're
Make a square tube?
It's doable. Very good.
how do you wad up a book and put it in that little...
No, not in a tube, it's the concept. It'd just be something with a square section of some sort.
Paperbacks, that'll work.
It would actually, it's different.
It's funny you bring that up, because the miner out by us now has, it's not a pneumatic thing, it's a box. Because of this kind of setup where they couldn't have a drive-through for the driver on that side, and it's actually a box that you put stuff in, and then it's on a track. It goes up, on and over, and drops off. So I had never thought about that as applied to a book, but in that kind of instance, that would work.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, so, about if we, on Carmen's letter on that last page where he has his, 8 recommendations there, about if we just run through those real quick and make sure that we've got everything covered on those. So, any comments on any one of those points down there? I think number 3, but that's the one that we gotta address first, I believe. Unless somebody has an issue with 1 or 2. No, I don't think that's about it. No, it's, we got a big, we have
This packet's
58 pages in here.
And the computer freezes
Yeah,
up.
same thing, mine caught on page 40.
Yeah, the computer locks up.
Well, I mean, why you, I'll just, so number one says, and these are Carmen's recommendations, you know, that he says to recommend approval of the final PUD site plan for the library condition on the following items. Number one, a copy of the executed sub-agreement between CBDT and library board must be submitted.
Has it been submitted?
Any issues on that we need to address? Okay, number two, a 2-foot waiver from the parking setback along West Main Street, 8 feet, so 10 feet. Okay, page 52 in your packet on your screen. I'm sorry, Maple Street. Okay, number three, then, which is what we've just been discussing, we have to address about the entry layout along Main Street.
I'm not comfortable with the safety issue with the other plan. I don't think it's gonna be that difficult to drive in and go around. People know that they're gonna drop their book off with their right hand, so.
I wouldn't, I can tell you that. If I drove in, I would drive around, get out of my car, drop it off, and go back around the circle. Going in and crisscrossing is not something I would do.
But they don't want people to get out of their cars, that's why we have the book drop off.
I understand that, I'm just saying this plan, I don't like it.
Which
I
one?
wouldn't do it.
Which one?
The revised one.
Zigzag.
The crisscross thing.
Your driveway one?
Mm-hmm.
Take the proposed poll.
I mean, that's my opinion. I wouldn't do the crisscross thing.
But you're still then pulling in backwards. You're pulling in on the left and leaving on the south side and leaving on the north.
Well, that's the way I would look at it. They got the entrance coming from the north, correct?
No,
No,
that's
the entrance from the south.
because
Yeah, you said it's coming from the north.
Yes, no, they enter on the south.
There's a south exit from here, so you can drop it this way.
Okay, so you're pulling an entrance there. I'm confused.
It is entrance on the south.
Right, south, yeah.
Right. Well, that's just proposed on the north.
yeah, we still have that issue. We had it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can.
I think that's
Double one is what we're looking at.
right.
And it's backwards.
So you're entering from the south side, yes.
That would make
The
sense.
arrows indicate that, but I can see where it would be difficult, where it says proposed entrance, where people are actually exiting. That was I think that's where.
That's the word,
Yeah.
yeah.
The semantics of
Yeah.
it.
Okay, Kathy, do you have a?
I'm sorry,
If the arrow came in like this and went around and out, would that be a problem?
I think it'd be more confusing for folks to pull in on the left side of the driveway versus the right, and I hate to have that confusion on a public street versus, if there would be any confusion, which I don't think there would be, but I'd rather have that internal to the site than out on the road.
Yeah, come.
Yeah, actually, there's, on the corner from where I live, there's a little strip center, and on the end there's a Subway, and they have a drive-through, which is much higher volume than this, and they have to do the crisscross, and never seen an accident there, or heard of an accident there, and I guess the trade-off here that Pete's getting at is, you're either gonna have the potential conflict inside the site, or you're gonna have a conflict out at the roadway, and where vehicles are coming through at a much greater speed, so, because of the layout, those are the two trade-offs. It's not an ideal situation if you were starting from scratch and laying all of this out, you wouldn't lay it out this way. So there's no perfect solution here, and understanding that they're also trying to accomplish the goal of getting people in there to drop books off in a quick fashion too. Those are the trade-offs. One thing you need to also be aware of too, though, is that if something should happen, if the road, when you have two drives, if there is something there that happens, an accident, as a result of this, that there's potential liability here for the city.
That was my
And
concern.
that's what the attorney chimed in on. So we have a traffic engineer that's telling you that that's a potential unsafe situation, and there is an accident, then the city could be liable for that.
Let's move a little further north. Let's go to Vanderheim Ford. They have 3 nuts. And I
again, we can have lawsuits, we can talk about that all day long. And, I mean, I carry liability insurance for my business, I've never had to use it. We try to do smart things that make sense. And, are simple is always good. And, I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill here. I just, the circle, the semicircle, I call it the half circle, works so much better, so much cleaner, so much easier for people to understand. That they enter on the south, exit on the north side has do not enter signs, the south side has a one-way sign. I don't know how you can make it a sign.
Well, Vanderheide has a lot more space, but they have a,
Higher speed too.
Vanderbilt, it's 25 all the way through there.
Yeah, you're right, yes.
And besides, you know, their driveways are a long ways apart, and there are vehicles all lined up there.
About the same as this.
And I don't think so. That's pretty close to
Front
the,
of the store, if you go and measure, they're really close.
but you see, it's becoming more and more busy with the brewing company, and then when you get the,
That's why we added the third turn lane, eliminate parking, clear it out, so you've got good visibility.
but that parking was part of the parking that they had to use to get the brewing company there. So if you're eliminating
We're adding
parking.
more parking spots than necessary, so I'm sure it'll be parking.
I don't know if we counted them parking spots along the street going north. If we counted those.
Can I ask you a question? What is unsafe about both roads?
Most of them.
It's not a matter we can point out that, well, simply, MDOT, road agencies, community instructions, they have adopted access management standards. We can improve them time and again, that corridors that don't, a lot of those are retrofit corridors that, like the gas station mentioned, I don't know that area, but there's a lot of things out there improved years and years ago that wouldn't be approved right now because of that same space. And so when a new route use comes in, whether it's public or private or otherwise, you still try to comply what's considered newer standards, always upgrading standards to get them to, follow closer to current access management standards. In this case, the Maple Main intersection is only 130 feet down from your southern public driveway.
Shifted that to the north.
Well, in your case, and the two driveways are close together, it's also holding the access management standards. We talked about there's existing driveways on the other side of the street that, when we put in an alternate lane, or even before that, there's going to be people trying to use the same piece of that turn lane. That could still happen over the Target to the north, and usually this is the way of Maple. So, you get it right. We might go for 20 years and not have a crash here, but the advice I have to give the city is based upon a lot of other background information, and I got to be thinking about long term. What if Maine goes from 6,000 cars a day on now to 12,000 10 years from now? And I go back to original. It's okay, I'm sitting there. I can stand with this one.
I got a question on that volume, but again, you mentioned MDOT, and that's a recommendation or standard. This is not an MDOT road.
Oh, no, I know, but MDOT, a lot of communities have adopted MDOT standards. They and SEMCOG and a lot of the NPOs around the state had firms do research, and that's how they adopted these original standards back in 1995, and then upgraded. So yeah, that's just because this is in